Welcome to the EXCELcast. I'm Jonathan Kuuskoski, Assistant Director of the EXCEL program here at the University of Michigan School of Music, Theater, and Dance. And today I'm talking with members of Latitude 49 who are here as EXCEL's artists in residence this year. 2 visits in September and February. And today we're going to talk with them about sort of going from college to career, taking their ensemble from a college-based one to a professional ensemble. So welcome. It's great to have you here today.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
Great. And want to start just by talking about the origins of your group. So how did you meet, Andy? Like, how did you get connected? What was the sort of the impetus for starting Latitude 49?
Okay, so the ensemble started over drinks. So Janie and I actually, we were talking about wanting to do a chamber ensemble, but do something different. And so we were just really, actually, literally in a bar or something, having drinks, talking about like, okay, so what sound do we want? What instruments do we want? And so I was obviously part of the conversation. So I was like, so it'd be nice to have winds. It'd be nice to have strings. It would be nice to have percussion and piano. You can kind of do anything. And we ended up like just saying, saxophone and clarinet. We were like both single reed, amazing blending, powers, but also you get to do all the saxophones, all the clarinets. So those are versatile instruments. And then we said, violin and cello, we weren't really thinking we needed more than 2 strings, so we did leave out viola and bass. And then, of course, we were thinking percussion for like all of the anything you could ever want to add to the sound. Yeah. And so we settled on that. And so because of that instrumentation, it's actually similar to the Perot instrumentation plus percussion. We actually had a foundation to kind of work from. We had transcriptions that we could do. So we started out arranging, but our very first performance did involve a commission. We worked with one of the students at Michigan, and that was one of our big goals. We were like, let's start out finding music we can, like arranging stuff, and then let's move on to commissioning stuff. So we were able to do that in the first performance. I was just graduated when we started, but we did start with all students. We had like postmasters on percussion. Janie was DMA. Our original clarinetist, Nona, was master's degree, I think at the time. Tim was just finishing his undergrad. He was a baby. Now he's a doctoral student at Rice. And our cellist, Jeremy Crosmer, who's now principal second or with, I think so, with Grand Rapids. And he teaches at Grand Valley. So we've had some great players come through this ensemble, and we still have 3 original members. And we still have connections with all of our previous members. And so it kind of just started out being a student ensemble, mostly, except for me, I was pretending to be a student at the time. And we kind of, it was good for us because we actually got to graduate into the real world kind of slowly. Because of all the different ages, like some people got out of school, others were still in. We kind of got to like put our toe in the water before like plunging deep in. And I think that was actually a really good way for us to transition into the world. Every new year became a new challenge, but also new opportunities. And slowly it has evolved to the point we are now where we have no students except for Tim finishing his doctorate, and now we're kind of like almost completely let out into the wild, you might say. And that's going to kind of be the topic of our conversation for our talk on Saturday is like, we're like young people doing drastically different things in the professional world. How did we make that transition, and how does it help us continue to function as an ensemble while still helping everyone else, live their individual goals?
Great.
Yeah.
So, okay, great. So, and I want to talk about the challenges and opportunities in a moment, but I'm curious in terms of the mission. So the mission and the sort of the focus, artistic focus of Latitude 49, was that really crystallized from the beginning? And how has it, if it has evolved in any way, like how did that evolve in parallel with this transition, right? Going from primarily student group to now basically all former students, right?
Yeah.
Professionals.
I think our mission has evolved. Yeah. I think originally we were like, let's get people we really like being around and playing with, and let's play new music. And I think what we did is like we kind of fell into our mission, which is realizing we really care about creating a bigger community. Yeah. When we actually commission somebody, it's not like a commission, play their piece, and then we're done, move on to somebody else. It's like keep playing their piece, like keep pumping their music, create a relationship. So kind of create an extended family. and surround ourselves with it. And I think that's kind of where we landed. So we still mostly commission, but we also do some like really creative arrangements of older music. So we're a new music ensemble, but that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be 12 tone or something like that. So I think those are the 2 points, is like community and new music, and kind of encouraging and promoting music that is actually being created right now.
Another part of our mission that is really kind of developed as opposed to at the beginning is this idea of creating experiences for our audience that are really unique. So really audience-centric programming. And we've done some interesting projects with the Memory Project that we did, where we had readings of poetry and interesting visuals, and just ways to connect people to themselves and to have a more personal experience in our concerts. So rather than just having a series of new pieces, we really ask ourselves, how can we frame these pieces in a way that's really going to impact an audience and be an experience that is very personal for them. So that's kind of something that has developed out of this real, starting with just let's put some music on a program that we really care about. Now it's like, okay, let's put some music on a program that we really care about and make others really care about it too.
And I guess that was done, the first time we did that was time past, time present, right?
It was really when we kind of figured out sort of theme-based.
Yeah, so that was about, I guess, 2 years ago now? 2 seasons ago, we did a concert called Time Past, Time Present, which is the memory concert Janie was just talking about. And that was our first big project in which we like experimented with these extra musical elements of combining art and certain multimedia aspects into the performance in order to create a meaningful experience for folks that might be more memorable. No pun intended.
Right, and certainly I would say that's a signature thing of Latitude 49. You hear people talking a lot about is this sort of, you mentioned audience-centric, but I think part of that is then really putting yourself in the mind of the audience. What are they going to walk away from feeling, after the concert? That it's not just a music experience, but it's sort of this broader sort of artistic experience that really resonates with them. So I'm curious in terms of the challenges, that's sort of a twofold question there. What are the challenges, Janie, what are the challenges you face as a group? And of course anyone can respond. Now that you are all professionals, and not sure if I mentioned this, but I should have, that you are all SMTD alums, so we're super proud of that.
I love being back here.
That you're out, we're so glad you're back, and so glad you're out doing great things in the world. So what are the challenges you face now that you're in that situation, both as in terms of the logistics of the group, but also in terms of, your conceptually framing your programs based on that mission?
Well, one of the big challenges that we faced through our development is that now we're no longer all students at the University of Michigan, as you mentioned. And so with that progression, Chris and I live in Chicago, Tim lives in Houston, and our cellist lives in Boston, and Andy and Jason are Ann Arbor based. And so we have a really widespread, and you could say that it's a challenge. It certainly poses certain challenges, but we like to think of it also as a strength because we're able to connect to different audiences in different places. So we've made some really great inroads with people in Chicago, people here in Ann Arbor. We've just got a new cellist working with us who's based in Boston. We're looking forward to those connections spreading. And so one of the big logistical challenges is scheduling. And so we've kind of come to sort of an agreement amongst us of how we're going to schedule that will allow each of us to live our own lives. And similarly, all of us have things we do outside of Latitude 49. Many of us teach. We have, people who work other jobs that are sort of musically supportive. And so we need to have a real model that works. And I think that's something that each ensemble will kind of come to in their own, is what is a model that's actually going to work for us? And certainly it's changed for us over time. So that was a big challenge, is just scheduling and logistics. And we also have an amazing helper in terms of logistics. Jason's wife, Bonnie Lynn, is our operations director, and she's an incredible natural organizer. And if you can find someone who's a natural organizer to assist you, that's just a gift. So.
And she's also a musician, so it helps. When we have things like when we mentioned the extra musical elements, when we had like the visual art and things like that, she was up there running the presentation, and she was actually following along with the score.
Yeah.
Because we had specific things that needed to happen within musical elements. So
she's definitely the seventh member.
Yeah.
The seventh member.
We would not function without Bonnie Lynn. And
we all say that every time
we would forget
every
to
time.
each
Every time. She's amazing.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it without her for sure.
As our concerts have grown and our touring and everything like that, one of the things that is a continuous challenge for most groups is funding. And so we're just in the process of becoming a nonprofit organization, which is really exciting. And will hopefully open doors for greater grants and funding, but also that people who are passionate about supporting us have a platform and can also have tax deductions and those kinds of things. So just making it easier for our supporters to help us. So that's kind of a constant struggle that I think even the best groups, if you look at the absolute top groups, are still, they have development departments for these very reasons. Because funding and development, it's a constantly changing world.
Yeah.
So that's a challenge, but exciting for us too as we're kind of embarking in this. And then we just love playing music together. So usually what happens is we have these long distance models where we don't see each other for a few weeks, and that poses a challenge when we get together because things have to be quick and we have to put things together quickly. So usually there's some sort of email that goes out like, hey guys, everyone be on point. See you in 2 days. And it's just kind of, our model has changed. We used to rehearse twice a week for 2 hours. That is a total luxury now.
more of the student model.
Yeah.
When we could check out space and we didn't have to move percussion instruments and throw them up all in a car and then unload them. And so it gets harder, but it becomes more worth it, I think.
Yeah, certainly a model of our time. I mean, you mentioned about
groups like Alarmal
Sounds.
Sounds.
Sound, yeah. It's
groups
just
that come together.
People today are multitasking and having really diversified skill sets and diversified careers, and that's really what is exciting about today, is that we can have a really great educator like Andy in our group because he brings something to it, and part of that is coordinating how we get together and us basically being on point. Fortunately, we did find our sound and kind of who we were as students. So we're not struggling to find our identity now. It's really just a matter of locking things in when we're together.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, it's such a luxury. Like, if you are able to form an ensemble, like, as students, like, that's like golden time where you don't have to worry about as many bills and all that stuff that gets in the way. You like literally can practice 4 hours a day if you want to. Find that group sound and then worry about the other stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it's no coincidence, right, that some of these amazing groups that you see today, they started as students, right? So, and it's not an anomaly.
I mean,
go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, 8th Blackbird at Oberlin, Alarmal Sound being part of ASIA at Eastman, and Third Coast, I think all those guys went to Northwestern. So Percussion all went to Yale together. Right?
DSQ?
Absolute DSQ.
Acropolis.
Perfect example. Acropolis, there you go.
Yes, right.
Everyone went to school together to find their group sound and really hone their craft before like launching off.
It takes time. Being
Definitely.
patient is
Oh my
a
gosh,
big
patience
challenge.
is
Just being
key.
patient.
Well, you talk about these challenges with such a positive framework. I love it.
Well, if we don't enjoy it, like what's the point, right?
Well, that's exactly what I'm getting at.
We gotta put the energy into it in order to get something out of it.
Well, it seems like there are also opportunities, right, hidden within these challenges. So one of the things you talked about is that because your group is somewhat diffused in terms of their location, now you have a broader network, you have a broader platform for the ensemble. What are some of the other opportunities or advantages you would say from the sort of makeup and sort of structure of the ensemble?
Yeah, so there are these kind of supplementary skills that we can all contribute to the group. We all kind of have our extra musical things that we do within the group. So Andy runs our website. I'm kind of in charge of all of our marketing materials. So any sort of graphic design things that go into that, that's something I'm a part of. Currently, I've taken all of the photographs that are on our website.
Wow.
Janie is our artistic director, so she and our former cellist were kind of in charge of all of the programming and figuring out what's going to work great on a program. it makes sense for Chris to be logistics. So he does a lot
technical
of the
director,
figuring out
the one that creates the
where
logistical
things are going to be.
nightmare.
Exactly. That's right.
And in that, from those skills, also, I've developed a career outside of the ensemble. I work for the Gershwin Initiative at the University of Michigan as well. And because of some of the skills that I developed outside of school, I was able to obtain that job. And that all just kind of folds back into the music. And from there, I can do arrangements and do any sort of stuff which we've done before.
Yeah, so Jason was really great in that he arranged a piece by Periton that we performed on this Time Past, Time Present concert we spoke about minutes ago. And we also did an arrangement of a Messiaen chorale, which was awesome.
He can also create a part for me in 30 minutes.
And it looks great.
The engraving is perfect.
Yeah, a lot of the original pieces that we would do were transcriptions, and so Andy needed a nice saxophone part.
It's like mine, chicken scratch written out, and Jason's like, "I'm gonna put that in Sibelius for you."
It's like I don't know what note I wrote there.
We found really great ways of expanding our individual skill sets within the ensemble, and it's caused other sort of ricochet effects, or else we have these skills outside that we bring to the group. And that's really the powerful thing of partnership and collaboration, is that each person has their own unique skills. And one of the big questions that I ask myself usually when we're coming into the year is how did this go? How is this person doing in this role? And really, what are the things that they do exceedingly well, and how can we make that a part of the fabric of our ensemble? So whether it's Jason being involved with creating posters and digital stuff, I mean, we knew of his work at Michigan with students before he even joined Latitude. So it was really how can we add to what we had? And so it just creates this wealth and a friendship, really. And the more people are engaged, the more they feel invested too. So all of us feel a great investment in the group because we each have our fingerprints on it.
That's great, and I love the fact how how you're framing this idea of sort of a holistic view of what you're looking for in your ensemble members, right? That you bring, of course, exceptional musicianship, but also collaboration and other skills that you're developing in your own individual portfolio careers, right? That obviously seem like they're enriching your lives in those other activities, and in of themselves are enriching your lives. But it also enriches the group because you can bring those skills back and help take Latitude to another level, each year when through the synthesis of those other skills. So that's great. We're so excited. You're such great role models for our students.
Oh gosh.
And we're so excited to have you here. And I know this episode probably won't come out before then, but you're playing Strange Beautiful Music.
Yeah, that's right.
In Detroit, and we're just looking forward to having you again back in February. We're going to do a performance, and
we're
looking forward to those students. So thank you so much for coming in and talking to us today.
You're welcome.
Go ensemble. No problem.